I want to talk to you about Denny a little bit. I heard from Dan a lot, and I didn't talk to you at all about that in that conversation. So I wanted to follow. I wanted to follow up with that with you. You know, that had to be a big deal for you that sophomore year, for that to be your first year of training, and you got put in Denny's group, right?
Oh yeah, that was. I was worried that I was going to get put in the JV group because I wasn't that fast. And like I said, I was kind of a little pudge ball and didn't quite, look like I had what it took. Um, and so when I got put in Denny's group, I said, okay, here's your opportunity. Just do whatever he says and work everything as hard as you can work it. And I did that. And so I got much faster. I mean, the year before, and when I was in ninth grade for the Y team, I think I went a 5:23 or something in the 500, just not a very good time at all. And then I went 4:58, and Denny kind of set some expectations for me, which were, well, you're going to come to every morning practice. And I said, well, I thought I would go to like 3 a week. And he said, no, you're going to come to every morning practice. And it was interesting for me because my brother Tim, who was a football player, he didn't expect Tim to come to any morning practices. But he expected me to come to all 5 every week. And so that told me that he saw something that, I could become better if I worked at it. And so that was really the first real success that I had, and it was because of Denny.
I'd like to hear you describe him a little bit. So obviously, when Dan was talking about his time with him, I had a chance to really go back. So Denny was born in 44. So Dan's freshman year in 72, he would have been 28. So I think he would have been 31 when Dan graduated. So he would have been 37 when you graduated. And considering his first team was in 67, he's still a young guy with literally 4 decades in front of him. But Dan described a coach that was experimenting, trying things out with guys and figuring out what he's doing. Now he's got the experience of having had a Dan Stevenson and a Stroud, right? Like state champions, and I'm sure he's improving significantly in his game as well. I'd love to hear you kind of talk about the Denny Hill that you experienced.
Well, when I came in, Denny had won 2 state championships already in 77 and 78. So he had the success. He had Dan Stevenson, who showed him what a real talented swimmer could do, what he was capable of, and how much workload was capable. So when I came in the fall of 78 and into 79, 80, the real accepted way that the best swimmers were training was just tons of yardage. The word was that the Russians were doing like 20,000 meters a day. And we knew that Mission Viejo, which was, really you still there, Mark? Okay.
I just killed my video. I was totally listening to you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So like I said, Mission Viejo was, really the it place for swimming at that time. And we heard that they were going 20,000 meters a day plus. And so when I came into Denny's program, that's what he had kind of started to do. I mean, it was really about yardage. Now, Denny was still single. He was still completely focused on, really building this swim program into a juggernaut, if he could. And people were starting to move to Ann Arbor to swim for Denny because he was known as, the guy who was really doing the best work and that you could really get better swimming for Denny. He was a little bit, my kids swam for Denny, so I could compare and contrast how he changed over 30 years. he was a lot more of a hard pressing guy. I mean, he was funny and he was, was a good guy to be with, but he was a lot more of a tough coach. And he demanded a lot of us, like one time we went sledding on a weekend and he found out about it and he read us the riot act because, he's like, you guys are serious athletes. You could have blown your whole season. And we were young and dumb. We didn't think about it. But so he set us straight, but it was really about yardage. And we were especially tuned in to heavy yardage, certainly during the season, but especially at Christmas workouts. We would go twice a day, 16 to 20,000 yards a day. And then in the summer, long course, it was kind of like Christmas workouts for June, July. Summer was like Christmas workouts the whole time. And Denny was there every day, and there was kids from other communities coming in to swim with us in the summer because we had the outdoor long course pool in Ann Arbor, and we would just crank yardage, and that's how I went. That's how I improved from sophomore year to junior year to senior year. Was really just yards, yards, yards. There was one thing that we did that was similar to today in terms of high intensity interval training is we would do about once a week, we would do 10 100s on a real ample interval, like 2.5 minutes. And you had to go as fast as you could on every one. But besides that, we would do mind-numbing yardage, 10 400s, that kind of just crazy long sets just to get a lot of yardage in.
That's wild. That long course pool that you referred to, was that Fuller at that time, or is that later? Fuller?
That was Fuller, and that was really, I think, a key for Denny, was having access to the long course pool and being able to take everyone in the summer and for wherever you were at the end of the spring season, the work you put in the summer, you started the next year way ahead of where you were at the end of the last season. And that's how it worked for me. By the time I got to my junior year, I was a much better swimmer at the start of my junior year than I was at the end of my sophomore year. It was just hard work.